on that way, it's really, really important to have other people working with you. And then very, very important is celebrate. When you achieve something, even if it's just that daily thing, it might be that 5 pounds just by doing your things for a month that we just talked about. Celebrate it. And it's really, really important to do that instead of just going through like machine like as far as achieving the goals. But you can't go it alone. And the more people you have along for the ride with you, the more it's going to be better for you and also for them too, because they're going to be really happy for your achievements and accomplishments, and they're going to want to do things themselves. So you're going to inspire them just by doing it yourself.
Right. We had actually put together a program that we called the PACE program for achieving goals. And PACE is a very simple acronym. It stands for plan, act, communicate, enjoy. You need to figure out what you're doing. You need to put your plan together. You need to take action. There's so many people that don't achieve their goals simply because of analysis paralysis. So you actually need to take that step and take action. You need to communicate. You need to tell people about what you're doing to help keep you on track and keep you accountable. And when you finally get there, enjoy it. You need to celebrate what you did. We call that PACE.
I like that.
So now, we've talked about putting together these goals, but the best goals, the ones that people actually seem to accomplish, are SMART goals. So let's talk about what that is. And we've talked about this on previous episodes. But it's very important when you set a goal that you meet these criteria, and it's the SMART criteria. So the S in SMART goals is specific. And we've talked a lot about that so far. You need to be as specific as possible, not just breaking it down to manageable steps, but also figuring out exactly what it is. You know, if you make the goal, I'm going to lose weight this year. Well, that's kind of a vague goal. If you lose half an ounce, technically you've achieved your goal. But was that really what you had in mind? So you need to make your goals specific.
Yeah, it could be an amount of weight that you're going to lose, or it could be the clothes size that you're going to drop down to when you're being specific. But you have to really put it down there. I mean, you talked about your friend saying that I'm going to go to France. It's not just I want to travel more. I'm going to France, and I'm going by when, and that's will get us into our next part of this, which is measurable as far as what we're looking to do. When do you want to do it? When do you want to achieve it by? So measurable is the second one, is quantifying your objectives so you can measure what you're doing against that. So
right, and measurable is very important. I think actually measurable may be the most important part of it, because measurable actually tells you when you've achieved the goal. It's not just I want my business to make more money. It's I want my business to make 6 figures. I want my business to make an additional $1.5 million. You need to have that measurable goal so that you know when you've accomplished it.
Yeah, and we did give you a preview of what the T means, which is time sensitive. And obviously a great way to see how you're doing against that is to measure what your results are.
Right. When you put the measurable together with the time sensitive, then you really have a goal, because it's I want to drop three waist sizes in 8 months. I want to make an additional $150,000 in the next 6 weeks. The combination of those two defines your goal. So now we mentioning T, but we skipped over A and R. The A is achievable. And that's very important because if something is too pie in the sky, you're just going to get discouraged and never really follow through.
Yeah, and a little side on that. I mean, if you get to the achievable part of it and it seems way, way too big, but it's something that you still think that you want to do, that's where you probably have to go and develop several SMART goals to achieve that one, the smaller ones that are achievable.
All right, it's a great place to implement those sprint goals to get you to where you need to be to achieve the big goal. In fact, I just saw a piece of advice that said you should set a goal so big that you can't achieve it until you become the person that's capable of achieving it. So it's sort of forcing yourself to grow into the role that makes that achievable. Now, again, there's a lot of things you can do, to grow personally, to grow professionally, to make certain things achievable. However, there is the reality factor. When you're talking about achievable, these things need to be possible. Okay? I can say, I want to be on a rocket ship to Titan in the next 18 months. Is that achievable? Not even close. There's no physical way for me to get there in 18 months, never mind getting there in the next 18 months. So you do have to take reality into consideration when you're making achievable goals. And then the R is relevant. And that goes back to what I was talking about earlier with why. Why are you doing this? What's the relevance to you? Is it just something you want to do willy-nilly, or is there a real reason for doing this?
Yeah, and again, the stronger the reason there, the more likely you are to really achieve things and work hard to get there.
Right. And that finally brings us back to the T, which is time bound. And that's your deadline. That's when you want to achieve this by. And when you put that again together with the measurements, that's really the meat of your goal. Without your deadline, there's an old saying that any job expands to fit the time allotted. Well, if you don't allot a certain amount of time, it's just going to keep expanding and you're never going to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, one of the things that we have talked about, I think we did a podcast on this maybe a year or so ago. A great place to start with yourself or with your business is what's called the SWOT analysis. And that's just taking down a sheet of paper, and it's a self-analysis of your business or yourself. And the SWOT stands for strengths is the S, W is weaknesses, O is the opportunities, and T are the threats. And the bottom line is, for the strengths, you definitely want to play to your strengths and increase those. If you do have weaknesses, these are things that you really have to work on to make yourself better. Opportunities could be things that you have going on in business or in life, where if you really shoot for things and analyze what's out there, you can list a whole bunch of those things. And then threats are things that you have to address also. But if you do a little self-analysis, it won't be very hard for you to come up with a few goals to set and work on.
And the SWOT analysis also helps you figure out if the goals you have are really realistic. Are they achievable? When you go through your strengths and weaknesses, and you have to be brutally honest with yourself about these things, it's not just about saying this is what I'm good at and this is what I'm not good at. It also goes back to what we were saying earlier with who. The things you're good at, that's great. Your strengths, you've got those covered. Your weaknesses, maybe you have to bring people in and achieve this goal as a team. The opportunities tell you what that goal is going to get you, and the threats are what could go wrong that could keep you from that goal. And again, it's very important to be brutally honest about threats, because if you prepare for them, it helps you overcome them.
Yeah, it's a better safe than sorry thing. So you got to identify what's
Right.
out there.
And the SWOT analysis is a time-honored business tool. But the fact of the matter is, like most other business tools, you can use them to grow personally and help put together your life.
Yeah, and it's so important to start with you, because if you don't start with you, it's not going to make a lot of sense. And even if you do achieve them, if they're business goals and financial goals and so on and so forth, if they're not coming from working on you, you're not going to be really satisfied with what's going on. You're just going to want more and more and more and more, because you're doing it for the wrong reason. So there's got to be some personal satisfaction, or really just looking about at what makes you up. What is your personal why? What's your personal reason for being here? And if it's not coming from that, it's not going to be as strong for you when you achieve it.
Exactly. And of course, today we're focusing on setting goals. But setting goals isn't the goal in itself. Once you've got these things set, you really have to figure out how you're going to achieve them. You need to develop a plan of action that you're going to follow. And that's one of the reasons that accountability is so important, because it's easier to follow a plan when there's somebody saying, "Oh, how's that going? Where are you in that plan?" So you need to develop that plan. You need to act on the plan, as I said before with the PACE program. It's plan, act, communicate, let people know, and when you achieve it, enjoy what you did. So we're just about at the end of our time. So Chip, what do you think is the big takeaway for our listeners this episode?
I would work on your own SWOT analysis, do a self-analysis, and then list what you want to do. And then you just stole my thunder, because my takeaway was going to be the PACE, the plan, act, communicate, and enjoy, because that's just a great way to do that. So thanks for that takeaway, Eric.
No problem. Yeah, I think the big takeaway is the fact that a goal is not a dream. Action you have to take, there's planning involved. It really is something you need to be active in. And the more goals you have, the more you're going to be doing, and the further you'll get. So think hard about what you want in your life, set those goals, and go for them. And that, I think, right there is the big takeaway. Go for them. Just writing them down isn't enough. You need to take that action and get past the analysis paralysis. You've been listening to the Success Showcase. You can catch us every week at xvadio.com/podcasts. You can also find us on the Apple Podcasts app, the iTunes Store, Stitcher, the iHeartRadio app, and Spotify, as well as wherever you find podcasts. Remember, make this your best week ever, and make next week even better. See you then.